Welcome back to the AskDomThat podcast. And this version is all about everything that I have going on, all about the things that people that I'm in contact with, business owners, entrepreneurs, hopeful entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and really what I want to do is make sure I answer your guys' questions. I've seen a lot of support in the form of questions to the Ask DomNat kind of just social sphere. I'm been very grateful and fortunate that so many people reach out and ask me questions about what they should do as far as some of the investments that they're looking at, some of the opportunities that they want to take or might be worried about. And I tell everybody that this isn't professional investment advice. This is just a resource for you to add to the repertoire of tools that you already have building up to this point. If this is your only reference to the investment advice or the investment catalog that you're basing all your decisions off of, you're in big trouble. I mean, I'm not mad if this is the first, but make sure it's not the last. Be smart with your money. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how I would invest $10,000 if, knowing what I know now, I had to start over. And $10,000 is not a little bit of money. That's not chump change, right? But it's also, once you start to get into really the world of entrepreneurship, not a lot of money. So it's in the sweet spot of you have to be creative because it's really just the starting point of what your road to serious investment might look like. So we're going to review 3 things that I would do with $10,000 or that I recommend that you do if you're looking to start your entrepreneurship or investment with $10,000, and 3 things that I would definitely not do. And the third one is surprising and shocking. So what are the 3 things? Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's start with what I would do with $10,000. The first thing, and some of these are going to seem repetitive or boring, but investing and making money and being profitable is not as glamorous as people think. Spending their money, living lavish, that might be a whole different story. But making money sometimes is very simple. It's a supply and demand thing. It's not all glamorous. So when you're looking at how to make money, it doesn't have to be pretty or glamorized. It just has to be straight, rugged, and not complex. It should be very understandable. The first thing that I would do if I had $10,000 and I wanted to start over is start a service-based business. Hyper localized in a lot of cases is better for some people. But if you have the personality of marketing and just social media in this case, if you can get out there, then going national, even global with it, depends on your product, it might be ideal for you. However, it's just more competition. So hyper localized businesses are amazing to start off with because your competition level is only people in your direct vicinity. And at a lot of times there are pockets of need in your community that you can tap into, and you're the only one offering this service. So what's a service-based business? First, let me go over a couple of these, right? Like here's what I would do with $10,000. And again, I'm not throwing my entire $10,000 in one basket here. We're going to break it down how I would do it. Service-based business. Let's see here. I'm talking about landscaping and gardening services. Well, Dom, there's a lot of landscapers and gardening services out there, right? Like if this is what you do. Or what about fitness training and yoga? Right? There's mobile car wash and detailing. Pet grooming services or pet daycare, whatever they want to call it. People invest a lot of money in their pets. Even home cleaning services and businesses. My mom started off with her home cleaning service. She was just one person. Now it's grown. Hopefully, soon enough, I'll be able to have her retire. But you wouldn't imagine the demand and need for that, and how many people keep coming back. And ultimately, you can go online business, and then there's also consulting services. Depends on your skill set. So let's break this down. And then there's like vending machines, right? Like all hyper localized. With vending machines, it's going to be a little bit different, and I'll explain to you why. For the most part, the businesses that I mentioned, food truck and catering, well, you don't need much to get started with that. With a food truck, you might need to spend a little bit more money. Yeah, that can suck up your entire $10,000 very easily. Or you can start with about a third of that, $3,000, if you get the right contacts and the right connection to rent and lease a food truck for a couple months. You might be able to spend $3,000 on that. And then you're going to spend quite a bit of money on just your supplies and material, getting your licenses, all of that. So, I mean, to get a food truck started, we're looking at closer to 6,000, or there's certainly no limit to how much you can spend, but I wouldn't spend more than the $6,000 right off the bat, because you're going to need to focus on your marketing. You're going to need to let people know what distinction you have from everybody else. And that just comes down to pure marketing. Outside of having a good food and service, all of these businesses that I'm talking about, I'm assuming that you can do them well. I'm assuming that if somebody gets a chance to try your food, gets a chance to go to your workout or yoga class, gets a chance to have you clean their office space or house, you're going to do such a good job that they're going to want you back, right? Because the cost of acquisition for a client is a lot higher than the cost of retention of that same client. So let's make sure that you can actually do the job. Don't just pick something random that you have no experience in. Now, here's what I would focus on. I would use a portion of my $10,000 to get my documentation set up, right? LLCs, incorporation docs, if you have any trademarks or copyrights that you need to do. I mean, that shouldn't take you more than a couple $100 right off the bat, right? Don't sweat it too much. Even if you have to pay a company to help you do it, it shouldn't be more than a couple $100. If it is, somebody's robbing you. I would, right off the bat, focus on letting the world know what service you offer. So many people focus on the product. Okay, I want to get this product perfect. I want to no, don't worry about it. People have been offering this product or service long before you came along, and they will offer it long after you're gone. And there's people that do it a lot better than you. All you have to do is focus on telling your story. A friend of mine, actually my brother-in-law, started a urban paintball. This is what I'm defining it as. I'm defining it as an urban paintball league, taking up parking lots in Philadelphia in this case, and we're setting up just obstacles and a setup where people can come out, paintball in the middle of the city. You don't have to travel out 30, 45 minutes to go paintballing. It's quick, it's adrenaline packed, it's safe, and it's unique. That's a unique product. But guess what? The focus has to be letting people know that it's there. So my first $10,000 would be focused on, yes, getting the company set up officially and legit, whether it's the cosmetology that a lot of people are doing. But the focus, the major focus, is going to be investing in the marketing of you and your product. That's business cards. Video is a big thing. Like, people sleep on video so much, and I don't understand why. But make sure that you take videos and you're going to networking events. You have to be out there. People need to know that you're offering this, or else they'll never buy it. They'll never promote it. And you just don't know who the next person is that's going to see your business and help you get to that next level. The reason I like service-based businesses is because you don't have to overcomplicate it. You can, kind of rinse, wash, repeat. You get a little bit convoluted when you start talking about consultation. If you're good at something, in my case, technology, I started a technology consulting business. It was hard to rinse, wash, and repeat because the clients all had different needs. The solutions were different. We had to engineer certain things for certain clients, and it became a headache. And then you had to take that headache home and think about it and figure out how you're going to solve this new technology crisis, cybersecurity, or networking issue. So those are difficult. And those are like kind of your professional development where you have to really invest in knowing your craft because it's changing so much. Would I recommend you start there? No, not really. Having done it, I mean, good money if you can break through, but I've also seen a lot of people fail. You want to look at businesses that have a high success rate. Google it. I mean, you can go online, chat GPT it. Do your research. I can't spoon feed you everything, right? Because if this is the hardest thing that you're going to do and you can't even figure it out, then entrepreneurship definitely isn't for you. But for those who want to get out of the rigmarole of the everyday job, then let's give this a try. Here's the mistake that you don't want to make with this. You don't want to buy yourself another job. Right now, you work, presumably, for a living, and somebody pays you to do a job. When you're an entrepreneur and you own the company, you might not even make as much money as you were making before. So it's almost like you're investing to just have a job. You go to work the same as you were before. You just realize that now you have more responsibilities and less pay. And hopefully your company is growing in equity and stock and something and in value that you can cash out later. Because if it's not, then you're doing it wrong. And I did it wrong for a long time. The second thing that I would do if I had $10,000 and I had to start over is invest in my professional development. I would not, go ahead and throw a bunch of money into getting a new suit and all this and that and new clothes. No, I would invest in $200 courses. I would invest in going to networking events, whether they're paid or conferences, and really getting in front of the type of people that I want to be around. If you're in the medical field and you want to start an entrepreneurial journey around the medical field, I would make sure that I understand what the certifications are, that you might need to have the training in the medical field. Or if you're in technology, same thing. I would invest heavily in building up my accreditations and my standing in the field that I want to be in. So many people come to me, and I get a chance to hire and fire a lot of people. But so many people come to me and say that they want an opportunity, but they're not prepared. They have no idea as to what they have to do once I give them the opportunity. It's almost like they didn't build themselves up adequately enough before this opportunity may have been presented to them. I would definitely invest in building myself up. Now, here's what that means for me. Technical certifications. There's AWS certifications. There's cybersecurity certifications. I would spend a couple $100, and I have spent a couple $100 on getting these online classes. Some of them are so cheap. $30 a month, $40 a month subscription, and you can take all the classes that you want. I would go to tech conferences, which I do. I will be talking to people about what it is that I want to do in the technology world. In my case, I sell application development services. So I need to invest in blogs, getting content out there about technology and about app development. I have a team that helps me market that service. That's the investment that I'm making. It's not a brick and mortar, but it's rather when you look up Dominique Pereira, or in my case, Global Computers and Networks, GCN, my technology company, you will be able to see that we are a dominant figure in the application development world. That's that's not by accident. It's not by luck. It's an investment. I would brand. I would focus on branding, which is a little different than before. Even though the first one is, yes, I'm focusing on marketing my business. This one, I'm focusing on branding myself as an authority to something that I'm good at or I want to do. I don't care if you're a musician, if you're a basketball player with aspirations. I don't care. I mean, if I had $10,000, I probably wouldn't really focus on becoming like the next If that time has passed for you, just let it go and let it be a memory. But everything else, right? Like, yes, brand yourself as an authority, and it takes money. These videos cost a little bit of money, but they work. You're watching it. The third thing that I would do if I had $10,000 and I had to start over, well, I'd have to reflect inward on how much money I want to make with that $10,000. The first two options that I gave you, one was building a small service-based business, and really focusing on growing that business. The other is building a brand of yourself and focusing on getting in the right spaces where you can monetize your brand. That's for me to really hit it out the park. I get a home run. I like to make a couple $100,000 a year, maybe make a couple million. Who knows? But those are figures that are elevated in the world of what people typically make. But there are some people that just want to make modest returns, and that is perfectly okay. With $10,000, I'd start looking at blue chip stocks. I'd start looking at how to put my money to work in the stock market and maybe investing in safer commodities. It's going to take a while to grow, but it's just the beginning. And I'd always recommend using the first couple $100 to learn and buy a course on stock market, on investing, whatever. Like, just do that regardless. Even if you're going to buy the safest stocks in the world, you should know what it is that you're investing in. But yeah, it is completely okay to put your money in the markets. It's going to grow. You know, if you can get 10, 12%, that's great. Obviously, over time, that's going to compound. And also, remember, you saved up this $10,000. As long as it didn't fall in your lap and you just, invested it, that means that you're going to save another, presumably more money, and you're going to keep throwing that in the markets as it does well. You have to understand that there's going to be market corrections. Sometimes you're going to lose money. But as long as you know it's for the long haul, that money's there. It's okay if the market goes down or goes up. I would legitimately put it in some ETFs. I would look at some index funds. I'm not a big fan of mutual funds. Mutual funds and their fees. You got to look up, do some research on ETFs, index. Even some REITs. I might even consider doing some REITs with that. And just seeing what returns I would like. If I would like 10% return, if next year my 10,000 is 11,000, but I know that it's there, I'm happy at my job, that's not a bad thing. If it's 13%, even better. But that's what I would do. I look at, it's okay to be safe with your money. You don't have to go for the fences every time. Here's what I wouldn't do. The number one thing I wouldn't do with my money if I had $10,000 is give it to somebody to start an automation store, automate it. I would not trust anybody else with my money more than I trust myself. I've seen a lot of gurus out here say, hey, give me your money. I'm going to invest it for you. I'm going to take care of it. No, thank you. I'll pay you for education. I'll pay you to learn. Certainly not $10,000. And realistically, I'll only pay you to learn after I watch all your YouTube videos, I listen to your podcast, and I find that you give real value. But I would not trust any of these, scoundrels. I mean, they just leech your money. Now, granted, some people are legitimate investors, or they have legitimate businesses where they invest your money. But how many times are people going to give you the story of, I came out of jail, I've learned how to do X, now I'm teaching people how to do X and tripling their money in a year? I don't care if that's in real estate, in Amazon warehouse automation, drop shipping, in trucking, and babysitting. Fraudsters are fraudsters. I would not give my money to anybody to do as they please. I don't even trust people with too flamboyant and whimsical social media accounts. If you gotta be so ostentatious and out there with your social media account, and then you're asking me to invest my money, I know that you're gonna take this money and go do a video shoot with it. Wouldn't trust it. Wouldn't do it. Here's the second thing that I would not do with my money if I had $10,000. I would stay away from anything that's quick money. Day trading, like the automation, quick flips. I would stay away from anything that's quick money. The reality is that there are people who do this for a living. If it was fast, easy, and cheap, somebody would have exploited it by now. And if you find something that's fast, easy, and cheap, profitable, it's probably not legal. Take your risk if you want, but it's probably not legal. I would stay away from day trading. People make money on day trading. That's a very small percentage. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to know numbers. You got to be realistic, right? About 97% of people lose money when it comes to day trading. I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn about it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't even figure out what the hype is and what the mechanisms are around it. A lot of times fraudsters do their illicit business under real foundation. There is a foundation for short-term trading, for swing trading. But don't expect to do it overnight. Don't expect it to be quick. Learn the basics. Understand that it took you a lifetime to get here. If you're I don't know, 30, I mean you've been an adult for what, 12 years? It took you 12 years, you're still broke. Now all of a sudden you want to be rich in 1 year. Be patient. That's what I wouldn't do with my money. I mean, I've lost money trying this stuff. I'm telling you from experience. Granted, I didn't lose too much money. That was kind of like, let me try it. Let me see what the hype's about. Yeah, and I became part of the 97%. Granted, I just didn't dedicate that much time to it. I was making my money elsewhere, and I decided to focus on that. You can't get too spread out. That's something that I've been guilty of. Getting too spread out, doing too many things. Diversifying is a good thing, but being distracted is not. What's the third thing I wouldn't do with my money if I had $10,000? Surprisingly, this is the number 3. This is maybe the shocker. What I wouldn't do is necessarily go and buy a house. I would not necessarily invest in real estate if I had $10,000. The reality is that real estate right now is expensive. And there is a banker out there, a lender, that can convince you that you have enough for a down payment and closing costs, and there's assistance programs with $10,000. And they might be true. That might be very true. But I would have to talk to you about how long did it take you to get that $10,000 and save that? How much money are you going to be able to afford for this house after that $10,000 is gone? The problem with real estate is that people get into this commitment And yes, they can afford to buy it. They can afford the down payment. Maybe it's no money down. They can afford this and that, but they don't realize that your payments, depends on where you live, your taxes go up, your insurance goes up, right? And sometimes dramatically. And then, oh gosh, don't let there be an issue with your AC unit. Don't let there be an issue with your roof that your insurance won't cover. Or you got to replace a water line and they got to break your floor up. You got to replace the sewer and electrical, whatever the case is. A lot of times people get into these properties that they don't realize is a ticking time bomb, and they can't afford the explosion that's about to happen. So I wouldn't get into it unless I knew that I have enough money set aside to kind of mediate the issues that not can, but will occur. If not now, then later. And now, of course, I have a whole series on real estate investing, and I do encourage people to get into real estate investing, but I want to make sure that you get into it responsibly and understand the costs that come associated with it. So if you have $10,000, I would focus on, there's creative ways to get into real estate investing. I didn't say like don't invest, right? Like there's REITs, there's wholesaling, there's a lot of different things. You might even participate in a fund, but don't go out there thinking that your $10,000 is going to buy you the white picket fence and the dog and whatever. It might come with more headaches in 3 to 6 months, and your real estate agent isn't going to be answering their phone. Your lender is going to tell you, I don't know, right? And your mortgage is going to be sold off to a different bank that you've never heard of, but they're going to want their money regardless if that house is still there or not. So that's my suggestions of what I would and wouldn't do with $10,000 if I had it, and if I had to start over. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys would do. Bye for now.